So I thought about opening this episode up with just us screaming like goats. But the last time I wanted to start an episode just screaming, you shot me down. So here we are. Hammer's back, talking Thor, Love and Thunder.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
Love and Thunder. Yeah, Love and Thunder. Yeah, wow, what a crazy movie. I definitely need second and third helpings of this movie to catch all the Easter eggs. It is a Easter egg salad of stuff.
Yeah,
and we'll unpack it, but I mean, it's this movie maybe more than any other that I can remember from other than the first couple movies, loaded with stuff where you need to know going forward for what the MCU is doing.
Well, it's the same as they just did with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's a movie you have to watch frame by frame. Every new scene is delivering. I mean, we had Celestials in this film. We had
as background characters.
We had other
Celestials just hanging.
We had other gods. We had probably Bast from Wakanda. With Zeus.
Ra from Moon Knight.
And Ra from Moon Knight.
Ra that's where Ra was. While his avatar was doing Moon Knight stuff.
And we see the stuff that's happening in New Asgard and the stuff that's happening off planet and the stuff with the other. I mean, it's just you literally could watch this frame by frame and see something new every time. The same
and
as
it's
we did
kind
with
of a
Doctor
criticism
Strange.
as well. I feel like this movie was, Taika Waititi's great. Loved Thor Ragnarok. Maybe I was overexcited for this movie because I just felt like it could have been two movies. There was a movie with, I think there was a whole movie they could have done with the Asgardians of the Galaxy. They could have done a whole thing that they tried to have Korg just kind of skip us through with, and then he went from dad bod to God bod.
Yeah, it went real fast.
And they burned through a bunch of stuff, but I'm glad that they did burn through it because that was all the stuff we expected. Maybe that's why I'm a little let down, is I don't like too much fan service. I felt like there was a lot of that in this.
Yeah.
But when we got down to the nitty gritty, when we got down to what this movie was, the story, I think we talked about it in a previous episode talking about it, or you and I talked about it, but Christian Bale's Gore the God Killer, my new favorite villain and or hero. I just, something about him resonated with me, and he was a good guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the father thing. I'm a father. You're a father yourself. His character is just
really struck a chord.
I mean, it really comes down to the Odin aspect that we see in the first couple movies. It's that father-son family thing. But yeah, to your point, really liked this movie, although it's probably on my third of fourth favorite Thor movies. I obviously like Ragnarok. I like the Thor one. This is probably my third. Very Taika Waititi.
Very.
But I wonder if, kind of to my wife's point with the Doctor Strange movie, we're getting creators that are making their signature
movies.
Things.
Yeah.
They're
doing a superhero movie.
Doctor Strange was very Sam Raimi.
It was a Sam Raimi movie disguised as an MCU
Marvel
movie.
This movie was very Taika Waititi, and I wonder how much, because I know he and Chris Hemsworth were given a lot of leeway for whatever they wanted to do in this movie, because Marvel was just like, oh, you guys want to come back and do more and make us tons of money, make us more money. But I know there was a lot that was cut, because I know there was a scene with the Grand Master that was cut. I know there was a scene with Nidavellir.
That's what I'm saying. I almost feel like...
So how much of the movie would there have been? Because I wonder, and I was talking to my wife about this last night, because to me the movie felt disjointed in places. Where it was one movie that was really funny, and then there was another movie that was really serious, and it felt like they were using Korg to stitch those two thought processes together.
Exactly. Well, and to my brother's point, he's always had a problem with the Marvel movies not being able to take themselves seriously enough, and having a serious moment backed immedly by a ridiculous, funny goat screaming moment.
Now, don't get it wrong.
I felt like that this movie was, kind of like that my Marvel is finding its way in the TV series, where some of the TV series work because they're episodic, and some of the TV series don't work because they're trying to cram basically, two movies into episodes. I felt like this, I wanted to see. I feel like I would have loved to see the Asgardians of the Galaxy as a Marvel Disney Plus TV show.
Right, where you kind of like a little serial thing where
a
they have a
serial
different
thing,
adventure,
a little
every
adventure,
episode. Yeah.
and then set up for and maybe we can Monday morning quarterback this all day, but maybe they wanted to, but that would have been a very satisfying story is watching Thor and the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
And it doesn't have to tell a whole story,
and
just
getting
little episodic one-offs that lead us to what happens at the beginning of Thor. Yeah.
Right, and I feel like that there's a lot of moments where I definitely felt like you said it's a Taika Waititi movie. He would be totally happy with it just being Korg and Thor and Stormbreaker and Mjolnir on a couch, all talking to camera about their relationship together. I felt like there was definitely part of this that he wanted it to be very quirky, family-oriented. The moments. Some of my favorite moments are just when they're having a conversation and you just see Stormbreaker, entering frame, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And
with a personality of its own, which hasn't been shown in any of the other movies that the Hammers had.
Well, but it goes back to what Waititi did in Thor Ragnarok. Because there was the whole thing where he missed his hammer. His hammer had gotten destroyed. Korg even says, like, it seems like you and your hammer had this like real intense relationship. And so he was just continuing that storyline. My problem, which I loved all that. My problem was that it was too many. It was too much butter on not enough bread to flip the old Hobbit saying.
Yeah, I mean,
where I could have like. They're trying to do this big adventure, trying to set up the gods and dimensions and universes, and Natalie Portman, who I felt kind of got overshadowed a little bit. There was a lot of hype for her in there, and I left the movie wanting more of Jane Foster's story.
Right.
But ultimately, it's a Thor movie, and I kind of thought that they were going to flip that and sell it as a Chris Hemsworth Thor movie,
and then
And I think that there is part of that where that is true because, I mean, when I think about the movie and my favorite parts of it, Chris Hemsworth is great.
Oh, yeah.
He's great as Thor. He is Thor.
Yeah.
But he really played as a second character to some of the funniest scenes.
Yeah.
Like to Valkyrie and when they had their moments, to Valkyrie and them, to the Guardians of the Galaxy. But like you said, it felt very rushed.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The parts of this movie that were funny were hilarious.
Yeah.
The parts of this movie that were action and drama were awesome. But it didn't jive together the way that I think Ragnarok hit.
No.
But I still enjoyed it. But at the same point...
But again, the Ragnarok set such a high bar.
And that's the problem, is because we were all going into this going, we're going to get Ragnarok 2.
Right. Well, because we didn't expect much from Ragnarok.
Yeah.
We'd seen Thor Dark World. We were excited for the Avengers and Endgame and where they were going with it. And so, Ragnarok really had a chance to sneak up on us, whereas, like, we have been waiting for Thor Love and Thunder. And it did deliver, but it definitely felt like it knew it needed to deliver. There was at least 3, so they followed the classic, successful sequel rule. There was the one moment, to the rock music with Thor coming in slow motion. There was at least 3 of those in this movie.
Yeah.
So they doubled up on all the things that made Ragnarok great.
I mean, in a way, it almost feels like Marvel might have had more meddling with this one, because it's almost like someone came with a checklist. It's like, okay, there has to be a rock and roll song. Thor has to be in slow motion in a big wide shot.
Right.
There has to be an absolutely zany background character.
And Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, in my opinion, again, this is all our applesauce and baloney about stuff. Yeah. In my opinion, Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't as good as the first one, not because it wasn't good. If it stood on its own, it was great. But because Guardians of the Galaxy and James Gunn had an opportunity to kind of be the black sheep and come out of nowhere and have no expectations, where there was all these expectations for all these, for Iron Man and Hulk and the Avengers and everything, they kind of got to do whatever they wanted. It felt like Thor Love and Thunder, definitely a little bit of a victim of its own success.
Yes.
But doesn't mean I didn't love it. Like Screaming Goats loved it.
Yeah.
The way that they brought and I wish that they had brought the Grandmaster in, but the way that they called back to the actors, to Matt Damon and Chris Hemsworth's brother.
Oh my God.
Chris Hemsworth's brother. What was his name? Will.
It's not Liam. It's the other one.
Yeah, it's the lesser Hemsworth, as he's known. But no, they made callbacks to all those great moments in Ragnarok. Melissa McCarthy's hella
Oh my God,
funny.
Yeah. So I mean, so I'm just gonna say one more thing.
Yeah.
One more negative thing. It's not really a negative thing, but again, walking out, having a conversation with my family, my wife and son really wanted to see more with Jane and Valkyrie, and I feel like that part.
That's kind of what I was saying. Yeah,
they could have had their own.
That's what I'm saying.
Their own thing altogether.
It felt like
and maybe they should. Maybe they should go back and make a Jane Valkyrie TV show.
I thought that I would watch that. Yeah. But that's kind of where I thought they were going. I thought they were selling this and ads and everything as like, look at Thor. Yeah. And even when I first watched the movie, because I realized in the first 10 minutes of the movie, I'm like, they're showing everything that they showed in the trailers all from the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, Thor is going to die or play a backseat role, and we're really going to get to know Jane Foster and get to know Valkyrie, and they're going to be the real heroes, and Thor's just going to kind of be the lovable dummy sidekick that Chris Hemsworth was in a Ghostbusters
Back in
Last
Action
Call.
or whatever.
Answer the Call.
Answer the Call, yeah.
Answer the Call.
So, yeah, and I mean, if there's one of the best parts of this movie, it's their treatment of Jane Foster. And again, this calls back to the comics, the Mighty Thor comics. And it really mirrored that run because she had the cancer and the hammer was saving her but killing her at the same time. I feel like they missed a chance to really make her the hero at the end.
They tried. They definitely tried to make her the hero.
Yeah, she sacrificed herself. Yeah, she came in with Mjolnir at the end. Yeah, it was her love and his love for her that turned Gore around. But I feel like she should have been the one. She should have been the hero. She should have delivered the speech.
And it was kind of a cop out in that way. By the way, I stylistically loved when they went to the Shadow Planet. Okay. The black and white stuff was awesome.
So okay, that's not the planet I thought you were going to talk about. The black and white planet was. Amazing. It was amazing. The way the color disappears, but Gore's eyes are still.
Oh, you're talking about Eternity.
Eternity.
I thought
you were going to talk about Eternity.
Yeah.
Which the minute they went there, I thought, oh shit, is this where Thanos went when he snapped? Because it's that weird world with the water up to your ankle, and so they say that Eternity's at the center of the universe. So when Thanos snapped, did he go?
Well, there's definitely, I think this is where we kind of need to turn from Thor and Love and Thunder to Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi,
and dealing with
these other dimensions, because there's definitely a visual stylistic similarity between the water up to the ankles void that we see in this movie. That's exactly the same as when Thanos and Hawkeye collect the Soul Stone. It's very much like the afterlife that Black Panther goes to when with the trees and everything. And so kind of getting melding into the other dimensions of the shows that we're watching. I think Marvel is slowly educating us about the differences between the multiverse in the universe and other dimensions. And so now it's big time spoilers.
Universes versus dimensions versus.
Make sure you stayed to the end of all the credits of Thor: Love and Thunder, because let's get down to it. Let's get into this. So Jane Foster appears in, we presume, Valhalla, or Viking heaven, the Viking version of the ancestral lands from. That we've seen in Miss Marvel, and we've seen in Moon Knight, and we've seen in Black Panther. So we have this other dimension that's obviously a place that you go after death.
Right.
And so Jane Foster is there with Heimdall. Heimdall thanks her for looking after Astrid Axel.
Astrid,
which was a great moment.
Which I'm sure people complained about being a woke moment with him deciding to choose a different name, and it's
whatever.
Whatever.
Anyway, they're so the dimensions that they're bringing up in the Marvel cinema is making us so. Again, like we've talked about many times, it's the comic books. No one is ever truly dead forever. They basically are telling us at any point in time, we can bring back anyone we want from the afterlife.
Yeah, especially with the Norse gods, because in the comics, it's been proven time and time again that this Thor is not the same Thor from 1,000 years ago. That's not the same Thor from. He's a constant reincarnation of Thor, which is why Jane gets to be called Thor. It's the concept of Thor. So I mean, very cool that she gets to disappear into the gold glitter dust, like they did with the play, throwing the and go to Valhalla, which means that at a point,
because the first time we see
exactly,
a god die is Odin,
and which means that at some point Thor can be reunited with Jane. It's very nice. Little disappointed that it was Heimdall. I wanted it to be Odin because I wanted that acceptance moment. Because Odin was always like, meh, Jane Foster, Jane Foster, Jane Foster. And then for her to be a hero and stuff, I thought it would have been really great to see Anthony Hopkins welcome her to Valhalla. I'm okay that it was Heimdall. I just personally, I would have rather.
Speaking of Anthony Hopkins, I love our new god dad, our new bad, not a good dad, god dad. If we have to lose Anthony Hopkins, and Anthony Hopkins has gone into the gold dust of the MCU, never to be seen again, we have now Russell Crowe's Zeus, who is the new. So that's the first end credit scene of Thor: Love and Thunder is seeing that Zeus is not dead. He's having his dryads or whatever, his girls are tending to his lightning bolt wound from them stealing lightning bolt. Is it lightning bolt? What was it? Lightning.
It's a thunderbolt.
Well, because it had a name, just like Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. Yeah. So Thunderbolt, his Thunderbolt wound, and we see now who is this Hercules guy? Who's playing Hercules? Is this now Hercules? I mean,
yes,
because we're getting a new bad dad god, and we're getting our new Thor.
Yes, it is. It's I can't remember. It's Brett something. I looked him up earlier, and I completely I'm spacing it. He's from, I believe he's from Ted Lasso.
Okay.
I don't know who he is. I haven't watched that show. I recognized him when I saw him. And I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I don't know that guy.
Right.
But I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are really upset that it wasn't Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill's too big to play that character. So I'm.
It would have been great though, because Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Has been now Superman's dad and Hercules.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious.
So Russell Crowe is now.
But anyway, so Hercules has entered the chat.
Yes.
So which that cutscene got over, and of course it goes back into the credits, and I'm like, are they really going to just leave us on a cliffhanger that Hercules is going to go track Thor down, and we're never going to know if we're going to get another Thor movie because we're not promised another Thor movie. We're promised another Thor movie.
Well, it says Thor will return.
Right.
So Mighty Thor, Jane Foster Thor, Thor. Chris Hemsworth is definitely going to. I think he's going to play this Thor. I think it's smart for him to play this Thor thing out.
Yeah.
I think we want him to. In the comic books, many people come and go, many iterations. But Thor, in almost every iteration of Avengers I can ever remember, there is a moment where a new Thor falls from the sky, and he's awesome. Yeah. I mean,
because we've had Donald Blake, Thor, we've had Thor, we've had Thunderstrike, we've had Beta Ray Bill. I mean, it's a continuum of Thor, which kind of leads into the cool moment that they did with all the kids, all the Asgardian kids,
where he's able to give them for
a
limited time only. The powers of Thor. So
and able to bring them into their own power and to liberate themselves. And
that's kind of what is, I think, bringing me full circle to talking about Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi, these Moon Knight, these other dimensional people who are being helped, or their boon or their powers stem from some kind of connection to an extra dimensional god.
Yeah.
And that god being able to impart, like the Celestials being able to impart by creating them powers onto the Eternals, or Shang-Chi, wherever those rings are from, those are from that home dimension of the Shang-Chi thing, and they somehow ended up here on Earth. Same thing with the bangle and from Kamala Khan's bangle from Miss Marvel, is they're obviously setting up, having seen this last episode, which Like,
I haven't watched it. Don't spoil it.
Oh, okay.
Watch Camilla Khan.
Okay, well then we have to talk about that next. Our Miss Marvel wrap up will be our next episode because the episode 5 was this week.
Yeah.
Next week is the last episode,
Yeah.
and this is a classic case. He hasn't seen it. If you have, classic case of how the hell are they going to wrap everything up in one more episode?
Yeah.
Because this last 5 tricks you and makes you think you're getting a wrap up, but you're just getting taken
More
to a
story.
whole new level. So
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and I mean even with Mjolnir, even with Stormbreaker, both of those things are empowered with a power external to Thor.
Mm-hmm.
They are just conduits of his
of
energy.
his power, right?
Yeah. So yes, there's powers out there that are powering other things, and it's this big,
Right, like our first phase heroes, most of them were accidents. They were the classic, like mishap accident. It was like Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
He lucked
Gets
out
a
getting
chemical.
correct super.
There's the
Iron Man
gamma
creates
radiation.
It's technology and mishaps.
Yeah.
Definitely obvious that this next generation, kind of starting with Black Panther in the previous phase and moving forward, this next generation is very much about, it's not an accident, it's your ancestry.
Yeah.
And it's both the good and bad that you bring from your parents. I mean, there's a lot of, as a parent, a lot of this new Marvel stuff is hitting really close to home. And I think for a reason. I think people are telling these stories right now for a reason, because being a parent right now in the world feels like you're a superhero, but you're not the superhero. You're the problem.
Yeah.
But you're just hoping you can impart some secret knowledge or ability into the next generation, and hopefully they'll fix it.
Yes. Yeah. Which is
Anyway, that's a little deep for applesauce and bologna, but
which is very, very much what happens with Odin and Thor in the first movie, or first 2 movies. But yeah, last thing I really, really want to talk about, I mean, there's tons of stuff in this movie. You mentioned the goats. That's a hilarious thing, because apparently Taika Waititi didn't know there were actual screaming goats. They made the goats scream based on the fact that somebody on staff played the Taylor Swift song with the screaming goats meme. And he's like, that's hilarious. I want him to sound like that. And then there was an interview where they're like, so did you mean to, like, and he's like, what are these screaming, wait, there's actual screaming goats?
It's actually a thing.
And then the interview I listened to this morning, he was talking about how all the shadow monsters that Gore the God Butcher creates were all designed by the production kids.
So what makes kids scared?
So
what's scary to kids?
He was saying he was writing it, and his daughter came up and he was like, "Ooh, this is Shadow Monster. What is that?" And he goes, "I don't have the foggiest idea. What do you think it is?" And his daughter ran off and came back with this really creepy pencil, shaded sketch of this really and he's like, "Yeah, kids have the darkest minds. They come back with these things with spikes and teeth and mouths and eyes and." So they went
cool.
And his kids designed some stuff. Chris Hemsworth's kids designed stuff. Then they went around to the whole production like, have your kids draw scary shadow monsters.
Wow.
And those are the creepy. That's why we get big creepy spiders and big creepy snakes and giant things. And the cage that they're rolling around is this weird cage with a mouth. And it's from the mouth of babes.
I need to see it again. There was just a lot. It was almost sensory overload. There was so much packed into this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take. It's like almost like a Star Wars movie where it's just you're gonna have to watch it 5-6 more times to catch everything. But it probably would have been better done as a TV show. And I really think that's the future for Star Wars going forward. I think it's the future for Marvel. I mean, like, I'd rather have 5 episodes of a superhero than one big movie.
See, I think that's just going to be a divisive thing, because, you and I have talked about it, and I think they can be both. Yeah. But I know that there's people, like there's somebody right now that took all the episodes of Obi-Wan and he cut them together and cut the stuff out that he didn't like and tried to fix the pacing of the show to make it a 2-hour movie. I think that's taking it too far. We have to let these things be what they're going to be, but I think there's room for things to be movies, like big showy events, big Infinity War. And there's plenty of room for the TV shows. And
and all I'm saying,
I want more of both.
All I'm saying is I think everybody in Thor is an example of it, and some of the stuff in Moon Knight. I mean, I loved Moon Knight. Some of my criticisms are that it could have been they should have had a couple of hour-some episodes instead of more episodes, So they're all just figuring it out. It's an exciting new format. It's an exciting time to be a nerd.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, we've got Thor, Love and Thunder. I mean, it was a hell of a couple months of summer. We got way behind. We got, we had Obi-Wan, we had Thor, Love and Thunder.
We were buried under content. It was
Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel. Yeah. Definitely check it out. It's such a pretty show. Yeah. It's such a pretty show. And it's not, again, I see why it's having a little slower traction, kind of like Moon Knight. Yeah. But, I mean, award-winning stuff. I'm beyond the fact that it's a superhero stuff. Really good storytelling happening right now.
And again, if you want to keep up with where the Marvel Universe is going, you got to watch it. Just like WandaVision. You don't have to watch WandaVision to get Doctor Strange, but it means more. When we get around to the Marvels, it's going to mean more if you watched Miss Marvel than if you just go into a show with Brie Larson and,
Right, because now we have somebody who hero worshipped Brie Larson. Yeah. I think really, really great idea for them not to show Brie Larson in this, like they did with Hawkeye and young Hawkeye. So now we have an opportunity in the Miss Marvel's movie for Kamala Khan to get to meet her hero, which we've kind of learned, in Thor, Love and Thunder, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, right? So, I think we're going to stop there on Thor, Love, and Thunder. I both loved it and thunderously applauded.
I want to see a Love and Thunder too with him and Gore the God Butcher's daughter on an adventure. Like a lone wolf and cub, but backwards.
Right. So, obviously next coming up, we have She-Hulk.
Yep, She-Hulk.
Coming out in 2 weeks.
Yep, and our wrap. So before that'll be our wrap up of Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel wrap up. Then we're gonna go straight into She-Hulk. There was an announcement just this last week that both Daredevil and Kingpin are going to be in the Echo show. And there's
not a huge surprise, but I'm good.
And there's rumors floating around that 4 out of the 5 Netflix stars are being brought back for more content. I'll let you guess on your own who they decided didn't have the right traction. But
spoiler, it's Danny Rand.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because I thought that it was a good concept. Just maybe.
Yeah, the casting was off, and I don't think it had the full attention of Netflix at that time. I feel like it was a victim of them kind of maybe realizing.
Well, they needed to do it in order for them to do the Defenders, so they just did it.
They just did it.
But that's neither here nor there. We could talk about the Defenders stuff some other time, and maybe we will when we eventually get some more Daredevil content or something. But
love it.
But until then, that'll do it for today's helping.